him and Paul Joseph Watson. Now, Anthony's made a video just totally, debunking Paul Joseph Watson. Paul Joseph Watson recently got banned off Facebook. And by the way, Anthony, your tweet response that you did to his tweet has almost more favorites than his tweet does.
Oh, that's pretty funny.
Yeah, which is huge. And then 2 weeks later, Paul Joseph Watson responds, throwing all kinds of insults at you. I mean, what's your
Yeah, two
response and
two whole
analysis?
weeks.
Yeah, it took him 2 weeks. I mean, just give me your thoughts on that.
I think Paul probably has like a social media team or something working on his Twitter, because I don't see why he wouldn't have responded to me for 2 weeks if it was actually him looking at all the tweets. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, Paul, I've thought he was very silly for a long time, which is why I made that video that I did about him being a pop culture pleb a very long time ago.
Hmm.
Um, and at the time, I remember he got really mad and he said, I'm gonna make a response to this bald cuck or whatever the hell he said, and he never did, because I think Paul realized that I'm not just like, some dumb random internet SJW that he can just like fucking dunk on.
Right.
Like I actually, can have an argument with him and point out why he's dumb and make a coherent argument, against him. He actually did another video about, why pop culture and music is garbage and blah, 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 blah. And I, was tempted to make a response to it, but honestly, it would have just played out the same, because a lot of his arguments were kind of the same bullshit. And, he would have still just not responded again. Although one thing that I never really addressed that bothered me, about what he had said that I brought up in the video, was toward the very end of my original video about him, where he said that how trashy and over sexualized and so on and so forth that our media and our pop culture are. It gives our enemies, speaking of
Right. Yeah.
like Muslim extremists and terrorists, it gives them reason to attack
Oh,
us.
that
It's
was
like it gives them
insane.
justification. And what was funny is that, excuse me. And what was funny is that not too long after that, maybe within a year after saying that, is when the Ariana Grande bombing had happened, during her live show over in the UK. Which, given what Paul had said, you'd figure, well, that should just be the way that it is. Ariana Grande
Right.
parading herself around like a fucking slut. Of course she was going to get a suicide bomber attacking her. But instead, Paul used that, of course, as an opportunity to keep pumping up the flames of xenophobia and everything. So, dude in his idiotic opinions cannot even be consistent in applying them. Um, but yeah, I just sort of thought I would dunk on Paul a little bit there, because I thought the remember us, remember us, remember us post was kind of like a dumb meme. I don't know what the fuck Paul is thinking we need to remember. Like how will we remember you? Oh man, I miss when Paul was really out here telling it like it is, man. I really miss that. I'll remember that forever. I'll remember him. If Paul is remembered for anything, it's probably more the memes and catchphrases around his work than it is any profound opinion that he's ever had. So the memes will live on, Paul. Regardless of whether or not you have a Facebook account. So don't worry about it. And while sure, tech giants like Facebook and their control over the public discourse, of course it concerns me. Of course it worries me. However, what's funny to me about this is that this is exactly the bed that the right wing and the libertarian set have made for themselves. Because up until this point, they've done nothing but argue small government, no regulation, don't touch the capitalist market, leave it alone, it'll work itself out, it's perfect. And now we found ourselves at a point where as I just said, these big tech giant companies are influencing the public discourse in a lot of negative ways. And now all of a sudden, these people who've been kind of like touting this line of, low regulation to no regulation over and over and over and over, they've now met themselves, or they've now met the consequences of that. And now they're starting to cry like, oh, it's unfair. They need to be regulated. They got to be broken up. Oh my God, no. And, I just find it hilarious, because the thing is that's a very left wing argument. That is the
Right. That
argument
is
that
very
people
interesting. Yeah, that is very interesting. But I would
that,
also
that
say
is the,
that.
that is the argument the left wing has been making the entire time.
Right.
Sure, there are some neoliberal types in the resistance camp that don't make that argument, and that's not their concern because they're not looking at it that way. But if that's actually your concern, believe me, getting anything done on that front, it's not going to come from the Paul Joseph Watson side of the political spectrum.
Yeah, so that's all true. You do make an interesting point about how there's some right wingers who are now saying like it should be made a utility or it should be regulated very heavily by the government. Also, even on the kind of grounds of like non-regulation of just like Facebook banning him, like he's had a pretty like deep history of like literally just outright lying and making up his own fake news. So
Well, yeah,
I'm not
and that's
even
the other
sure
thing. A
if
lot of
like
these bans come as a result of like TOS violations.
yeah,
It's not because you hold a certain point of view, but you're literally just fucking violating the TOS, and that's really all there is to it.
right. Are those so? Do you have any final response to Paul until this saga continues?
No, I mean, I don't even really think it's a saga. Paul will respond to me on Twitter when he feels like he can kind of paint me as like, oh, it's only okay when it happens to us, isn't it? Like that's constantly the narrative with Paul when it comes to me. Like he only responds to me when he can spin this idea that I'm just cool with horrible things happening to right wingers, and that's all. So good for him, I guess.
I think he's too busy working with Alex Jones to make a response video, man.
I guess maybe.
All right. So what I wanted to ask you about, and actually,
Paul Joseph Watson response video coming 2025.
is that what he's gonna? Is that when he's gonna detach himself from Infowars?
Honestly, this is what's gonna happen. I'm gonna get a response video once.
Really?
Whether it comes at 2020 after Trump is out of office, or it comes in 2024 after Trump is out of office, unless Trump after that point decides to instill a dictatorship. I guess that's a possibility as well. But once Trump is out of office and the MAGA thing dies down in the same way that the Tea Party thing died down, because these political movements that are mostly based on being conned, they don't last forever because people get tired of them. They get exposed for being stupid, or new con men arise that present a new con that people jump on top of. Mm-hmm. Eventually, when it does die out and Paul Joseph Watson's numbers dwindle, because, I mean, like MAGA and the current flavor of the right wing at the moment is really all that's fueling his channel. Once those numbers start to go down, then I will get a response video. I'll get a response video then.
That's a very interesting point you make there. It's a very interesting point you make.
Paul will make a response video and he'll say like, I know it's been a while, but listen, it took me a while to put together this perfect response.
And that'll be right in tune with
this Anthony Fantano guy, and imagine my shock when I found this, that, and the other thing. So I'll get a response video then.
I don't think he's ever going to do a response video, but I'll be surprised. I'll be shocked. I'll imagine my shock if he does.
Yeah, imagine my shock if he does. He probably won't ever respond, but a melon can dream, I guess.
Yeah, so can I. All right, so here's something else.
And you'll be the first to cover it, right?
Oh yeah, I'll be the first one doing a video. Don't worry, I got your back, bro. Don't worry.
You'll say, hey, I have a very interesting video for you guys today.
How you guys probably know who Anthony Fantano is? Kind of Paul Joseph Watson. Oh, all right. So Dave Rubin blocked you from Twitter. Now this was something that you did send me a video to make a video on. I thought it made a pretty funny video. So what is it like?
I was heartbroken.
Yeah, what is it like? You know what I mean? What is it like to just be ostracized and just banned from the marketplace of ideas?
From the marketplace of ideas. Yeah, I honestly, it's pretty upsetting. I mean, I saw Kyle and Tim Pool, and as ridiculous as Tim Pool is, you got to give the guy credit in that I have told that man to wash his smelly ass hat at least a few times, which is way more disrespectful than I've ever been to Dave Rubin. And Tim Pool has not blocked me.
Right.
Even though I'm a blue check mark, and he's definitely seen those tweets.
Right.
And I have directly told that man his hat fucking smells like ass, and he needs to wash it. And dude probably fucks with that hat on. I'm not joking. And he has not blocked me. He has taken that like a man.
Hold on, wait. I have a question for you. David Pakman had a theory that he has 365 beanies. Do you think he has 365 beanies, wears one per day? Or do you think he just has one, or somewhere in the middle? Like, where does he fall? He's wearing a beanie every day.
Given Tim's current level of YouTube fame,
He can afford it.
he's more likely to be like a mundane